We all know the word, two simple letters, yet carrying immense power. No. And still, for many of us, speaking that word feels heavier than lifting a mountain. In relationships, at work, with friends or family, we often say yes when our heart is screaming no. We agree to tasks we don't have time for, we accept responsibilities we don't want, and we pretend to be okay when we're exhausted. But why is it so difficult for us to simply say no? What makes this small word feel so uncomfortable, so forbidden, that we avoid it even when it harms us? In this film, we'll explore the psychology behind this human struggle, the scientific theories that explain it, and how learning to say no can change the way we live. From the moment we're children, we're taught that being good means being agreeable. Don't be rude, help others, do what you're told. These lessons shape our minds long before we understand boundaries. Psychologists explain that much of our difficulty saying no begins in childhood, when we were praised for obedience and criticized for refusal. Over time, we internalize the idea that saying yes means we're kind, respectful, and worthy of love, while saying no means we're selfish, disobedient, or ungrateful. That conditioning follows us into adulthood, where every no feels like a potential act of rejection. Then there's fear, the silent emotion that shapes countless decisions. The fear of conflict, the fear of disappointing others, the fear of being disliked. Psychologists writing in Psychology Today suggest that many people avoid saying no because they fear the emotional consequences, the possibility of anger, criticism, or disapproval. We worry that refusing a request will make people think less of us, so we choose peace over honesty. But the truth is, every time we silence our no, we say yes to something that costs us energy, time, and often our mental well-being. This isn't just social or emotional, it's also deeply psychological. The American Psychological Association notes that even in professional environments, people often feel pressured to say yes out of fear of missing opportunities or being seen as unhelpful. The result? Overcommitment, exhaustion, and burnout. Our brains, wired for social cooperation, perceive rejection as a threat. In evolutionary terms, belonging to a group meant survival, so avoiding conflict became an instinct. Saying no, therefore, feels dangerous because somewhere deep inside, we fear it could mean exclusion. Scientists have studied this phenomenon in depth. Dr. Vanessa Bohns from Cornell University explains that the anxiety of saying no often comes from what we think it says about us. We worry that refusing someone's request signals that we're not good, kind, or dependable. Neurological studies show that saying no activates brain regions related to decision-making, risk assessment, and emotional regulation. In other words, it's not easy because it demands self-control, clarity, and courage. The process forces us to weigh consequences and manage discomfort. That's why even when logic tells us to refuse, emotion often wins. Psychologically, the inability to say no is linked to approval-seeking, a deep subconscious belief that our value depends on how much we please others. Many therapists describe this as people-pleasing behavior, rooted in low self-esteem or early life experiences where love and acceptance were conditional. When approval becomes a currency for self-worth, saying no feels like emotional bankruptcy. But the more we say yes to please others, the more disconnected we become from ourselves. Eventually, we forget what we truly want, because every decision is made for someone else. The consequences of this go beyond fatigue. Constantly saying yes leads to boundary erosion. the loss of the invisible line that separates your needs from someone else's demands. Without boundaries, your energy is constantly drained. You start to feel resentment, stress, and emotional burnout. Relationships begin to feel one-sided. You give, others take, and over time, your kindness turns into quiet frustration. Studies show that people who cannot say no are more likely to experience anxiety, depression, and physical stress symptoms. The irony is that our effort to maintain harmony by saying yes often creates the very emotional chaos we wanted to avoid. So, how do we learn to say no? It begins with awareness. You can't say no until you know what you're protecting. Identify your values, your priorities, your limits. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something important. When a request comes, don't respond automatically. Pause, reflect, ask, do I really want to do this? Do I have the time? What will I sacrifice if I say yes? This pause, this moment of clarity, is the first step toward reclaiming your boundaries. When you decide to say no, remember, it doesn't have to sound harsh. You can refuse politely, clearly, and respectfully. Phrases like, I really appreciate you asking, but I can't take this on right now. Or, thank you, but I need to focus on other priorities. Communicate refusal without hostility. The key is firmness, not aggression, not apology, but confidence. As research from Very Well Mind explains, being brief and assertive when saying no is more effective than long explanations. Over-explaining often signals guilt, and guilt is the emotional chain that keeps us trapped in the cycle of yes. Of course, guilt will come. It's natural. When you start saying no, your brain, conditioned to avoid discomfort, will resist. You'll feel uneasy, maybe even selfish. But that guilt isn't truth, it's habit. Remind yourself that you're not rejecting people, you're protecting your time and emotional health. Every healthy no creates space for better yeses. Start small, practice with minor situations. Declining a casual favor, postponing a meeting, refusing a request that doesn't align with your goals. With repetition, your brain learns that saying no isn't dangerous, it's liberating. Sometimes the hardest no is the one we must say to ourselves. No, I don't need to take on everything. No, I can't control how others feel. No, I won't sacrifice my peace to please someone else. Psychologists remind us that internal boundaries are as vital as external ones. When you say no to overworking, overcommitting, or overpleasing, you're saying yes to balance, to rest, and to authenticity. There are many myths around saying no. People fear it will damage relationships, but the truth is, real relationships thrive on honesty, not compliance. Some think saying yes makes them dependable, but it often leads to burnout and inconsistency. Others believe that saying no is selfish, but as therapists emphasize, taking care of your limits isn't selfish. It's self-respect. And sometimes we think we need a perfect excuse to refuse, when in reality, a simple, honest, I can't, is enough. Learning to say no is an act of emotional maturity. It's the recognition that your time, your mind, and your peace are limited resources. When you protect them, you protect your identity. Saying no doesn't mean closing doors. It means choosing which doors are worth walking through. It allows you to focus on what truly aligns with who you are and where you want to go. Every no is a boundary, and every boundary is a declaration. I know myself and I respect myself. So the next time you feel pressured to say yes, pause, take a breath, Listen to that quiet inner voice that knows the truth. If it says no, honor it, because sometimes the most powerful act of love, for yourself and for others, is the courage to refuse. Saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you real. It's not rejection, it's direction.